Hey guys, this is Ernesto and welcome back to yet another video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I'm having a wonderful day. So today I'm going to give you guys the 6 reasons why I purchased the Canon 6D Mark II over the Panasonic GH5, the Sony A9, and also the Canon 1DX Mark II. So first of all, I want to say this is not a sponsored video. Canon did not pay me to do this. No one paid me for do this. This was purchased out of my own money. All the B-roll that you saw at the intro were all done by the Canon 6D Mark II. All those footage was unedited, and I wanted to do that on purpose so you guys could see how this camera handles color and how it handles dynamic range. So here are the 6 reasons why I picked up the Canon 6D Mark II. The first reason is the body. It's very familiar to me. The second reason is the color science on the Canon. For me, that is the best in the game. The third reason I picked it up is the focus. The fourth reason I picked up this camera is the video image stabilization. And the fifth reason I picked up this camera is the 60 frames per second. Yes, I know the 60 frames per second is not that great. I would love to have 120, and we're gonna get into that, but this is good enough. And the sixth reason I picked up the Canon 6D Mark II is the articulating screen. All right, so let's dive into these 6 reasons and let me outline exactly why I think these 6 reasons are important to me with respect to this camera. Muscle memory is not that important to me. However, with this camera, it was awesome when I picked it up that it felt very familiar to me. It felt very familiar because it felt like my 5D Mark III, which is my main camera that I shoot with for images. This camera, I was able to pick it up and create video with it quickly as soon as I got it. Another thing that was very familiar to me was the Canon menu system. Now, if you're not familiar with Canon, obviously the menu system may appear a little bit confusing to you or a little bit complex, but for me, it's very familiar. When I was utilizing the Sony system, the menu system, to me it was a little bit overwhelming initially, but I could get familiar with that. I mean, it's just a menu system and you could get familiar with it. But for me, picking up this Canon 6D Mark II, it was very comfortable for me that the menu system is something that I'm familiar with. So the second reason I picked up this camera was the color science. Now, color science for me was the #1 reason this camera to me was amazing. Now, the way I plan to utilize this camera is more run and gun and capturing video. And since I'm not a videographer, I basically want a very good starting point in my post-production to start with, or basically not having to do any type of post-production with respect to the video, because the videos that I'm going to be capturing is mostly like vlogs and maybe like BTS stuff. So having a great color science to begin with, where you don't have to manipulate the post-production that much, is awesome to me. I specifically put in those raw images in the beginning of this video to show you guys how Canon handles the color and the dynamic range. All right, so the third reason I picked up this camera was focus. Now, the focusing system on the Canon 6D Mark II, to me, in my opinion, is awesome. Now, when I picked up the Sony A9, I raved about how the Sony A9 focusing system in my previous video was amazing, and it is. And if I had to compare the focusing system from the Sony A9 to the 6D Mark II, I would say the 6D Mark II is on par or even better than the Sony A9 with respect to focusing. Now, the way that I plan to utilize this camera is one-man army. Basically, I'm going to be utilizing it for my Monday critique and also for like vlogs and stuff. So no one is going to be behind the camera, so the camera has to be able to easily focus on me. One of the challenges that I had with my 5D Mark II, which is the camera that I use for my Monday critique, I'm not able to focus that camera. It can't focus it on me properly. So basically what I had to do was put like a cushion or something and pre-focus, and hopefully when I go sit down, the focus is good. So another reason that I really enjoy this camera is video image stabilization. Now, when I was utilizing the Sony A9, one of the things that I really loved about the Sony A9 was the in-body stabilization. Now, comparing that to the Canon 6D Mark II, now the Canon 6D Mark II by far I don't think matches up with the Sony A9 at all with respect to the stabilization, but it's good enough for me. So with the 6D Mark II, it has two modes of image stabilization. The first mode is standard, and then the second mode is enhanced. The enhanced mode crops the image, which is a shame, but if you really have like really shaky hands, you could use that enhanced mode to basically get some smooth shots. If you're walking or you're trying to get some move-in shots or whatever, the enhanced mode will do that. But like I said, it crops the image, which is really a shame. But I only utilized so far the standard, and the standard seems to work just fine for me. I posted a video on my Facebook page, and this was not the intent at all. But when I posted it, a lot of people thought that the video that I posted was a Sony video, and it wasn't. It was captured on the 6D Mark II. So it does have that ability to give you a good presentation with respect to the image stabilization if you're holding the camera right and you're given a good body position. Now obviously I would say, you know, utilize like a gimbal or something like that if you really want stable images, but for me, I'm not going to be using a gimbal because I'm not a videographer. I'm just going to be holding the camera in my hand or probably having it on a tripod. So this image stabilization that this camera have, for me, is fine. Now it's video, it's not like, you know, mechanical or anything like that, so it does have some cropping in there, so just bear that in mind, but for me it just works just fine. All right, so another reason that I picked up this camera was the 60 frames per second. Now you might say, Ernesto, really? 60 frames per second? That's not a big deal. But you know, I would really love to have the 120 frames per second, which was available in the 1DX Mark II when I was looking at that camera. Now, that camera obviously is very bulky, and I didn't want to basically be carrying around that camera. And if I did get that camera would ultimately become my primary camera plus the video camera, and I didn't want to do that. So the 60 frames per second was a perfect balance for what I need. Now, going back to that video that I posted on my Facebook. When I posted that video on my Facebook, and like I said, this was not the intent for people to guess what type of camera it was, but I purposely didn't put what camera it was that captured that test video. And for that video, a lot of folks thought that that video was shot at 120 frames per second. And it wasn't. It was shot at 60 frames per second. So I guess my point here being is that you can, if you're not a pixel peeper or if you're not a videographer, you do have the ability to manipulate the image or the video in such a way that it looks like it's 120 frames per second, and you could present very good slow-mo to your viewers. So with respect to 4K, I really wish it had 4K. Is a little bit of a disappointment, but I guess for me right now, with my setup, if I were to get 4K in a particular camera, there's a couple of things that I would have to change in order to accommodate 4K. So the first thing I would have to change is get a new computer, because right now my computer that I have, the graphic card cannot handle 4K. I would have to get new monitors, because my monitors that I have right now do not shoot or do not display 4K, okay? Then I would have to upgrade my hard drives to basically store all this 4K footage, which I currently don't have, but I would have to get more hard drive to accommodate that. So would 4K help me? Yeah, it would give me some good footage for YouTube and all that good stuff, but it would increase the cost associated with managing all that footage. So yes, 4K is nice to have, but it's not really necessary for me right now. All right, so the last reason I picked up this camera was the articulating screen. Now, when I did the Sony A9 review, I raved about the fact that they had that articulating screen. It was so helpful. Now, I said I wish Canon would put an articulating screen on the 5D line of cameras, but the fact that this 6D Mark II have an articulating screen, and it's on a full frame body, it helps tremendously with creating creative shots. And I don't have to lie down on the floor to get these shots, which is awesome. So I think for this particular camera, with all those other reasons that I mentioned, all those things combined will help me with capturing nice vlogs and capturing nice behind the scenes and stuff like that, and also doing the Monday Critique live videos. So in conclusion, this is not the perfect camera. This camera is great right now for what I need for video footage to capture vlogging, for you know, my BTS, for the Monday Critique live. It's perfect for a one-man show because the focusing system on it is amazing. At the time of shooting this video, a couple of YouTubers already, big YouTubers out there like Peter McKinnon and Travel Fields, already mentioned about this 6D Mark II, about it being the best camera for vlogging and capturing, you know, some nice B-roll. And I cannot agree more. Now, I purchased this camera before they put out that video, so their video didn't really influence my purchasing decision, but it's reassuring that, you know, other folks out there are seeing the value, the same value that I saw in the 6D Mark II. So, like I said, it's not a perfect camera for everyone, but it's a perfect camera for me. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Put some comments down below, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the 6D Mark II if you have it. And guys, if you got this far in this video and you haven't really subscribed yet to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stop being a stalker.